Hey everyone, and welcome to the Out of the Industry podcast. Today I have a very special guest, my friend Fahad. Hi Fahad, welcome.
How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Good, can't complain. Another day in paradise on a Thursday. So
You're being modest, dude. We're here celebrating 1 year of sobriety with my friend Fahad here.
yes,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yes, and yeah, we're going to go in and we're going to dive into his experience, his journey, and how he got to where he is now, right? 2024 Fahad.
Yep, it was a life changing for the most part. I think I'm living the best life, as the cool kids call it, and I think I'm gonna try and dominate that and keep going. So yeah.
So Fahad and I met back in the party scene, back in the day.
A decade ago.
Yeah, over a decade ago. Fahad was known as your connect guy. He was my guy to get me into Passion Nightclub, which was a nightclub at the Hard Rock Hotel. This was pre-Guitar Hotel.
Yeah, it was I think one of those best phases of life. We were all young and basically stupid, to be honest. But it was just like a good time. We had a good thing. Met a lot of friends. We made a lot of good connections. And obviously, fast forwarded to now, they say all good things come to an end. So here we are, doing adult things.
How did you get into the nightclub industry? How did you become? You were a promoter for Passion Nightclub, right?
So I was a young college kid, trying to make the worst decisions as every college kid would, and I was just into the Miami scene and Fort Lauderdale, and then obviously I met people, and I love to party because when you're in college, that's what you do for the most part. And I got introduced to one of my best friends now, Alex Basacos. And he basically, taught me the ways on how to go about the nightlife, and I loved it. I loved meeting people. I loved having, being around beautiful people all the time, and the fact that the people loved me back was the most important part. And I think I did ace that to the point that I had from pool parties to mansion parties to cruise parties to you name it, and
I remember those pool parties.
Yeah, so
we have a video together.
You putting champagne on my head, I have that too. Yes.
we'll put that in there. We'll add that little clip in there. Yeah. How long were you a promoter or with Passion?
Well, for my school days, I did majored in business and marketing, so that was part of the thing anyway. So I always had that personality for myself that I engage with people a lot. And this is again, we're talking about pre-Facebook and social media days. So that's when you actually had to greet people and hug people to actually make connections. So that's why you really knew if you're a piece of shit or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really you had to be live in front of the faces. So that's why I think a lot of people from that, what you call it, the OG now, those people are the ones that, really, really made it happen back in the day. Because, now it's you're basically a goddamn emperor, just, posting stuff, tagging people, and it's it's not that, in-person experience, basically.
Yeah.
Once I got into it, obviously, after that, I was a college kid getting all the attention from all these pretty girls. I was, being in the scene, talking to all these people. It was a good time. And and then obviously, just like that, 15 years passed, and,
Wow.
A lot of those boxes that needed to be checked did get checked, and I think that's where the personality thing happened. Anytime somebody does something, you want to try and do better and better. And I think basically when it comes to the nightlife, I don't think I left anything unturned. I think it's
No, not at all. You definitely had the party scene and the nightlife scene dialed in for South Florida, for sure.
Yeah.
You wanted to go to a Memorial Day party, a Halloween party. I know your birthday's around Halloween.
Yeah, that's right.
So you always had some epic Halloween party. Everybody was looking forward to this post too. He's like, yo,
more people are excited about my birthday than I was. I remember that.
That's right.
What's going on this time?
That's
and
right. I spent years bartending, so I never got to actually go to one of your birthday parties, but I think we would end up at the after party together. So, we would always end up crossing each other. Hey, there he is. We're celebrating this 1 year of sobriety, and obviously it's been a journey getting here. But, before that, the life of a promoter obviously is insane. What was your day-to-day life as a promoter? How were you spending your days?
So, you know, like when you're like in college and stuff, you know, you're obviously doing your part and trying to get the good grades and stuff. So I was always a good kid and comes to school as well. So, you know, I gave myself a pat on the back for that. But obviously, like, I still wanted to try and go out and have a social life as well because, you know, I was still new to South Florida because I moved here in like 2007, I want to say. And you know, downtown Fort Lauderdale has to be like one of the spots that you know everybody used to go, and we used to hear about it all the time. It started off with a weekend, and then it became again everyday thing, and that's where I think people kind of like slip out on, because you kind of want to do everything in moderation. You know what I mean? So it was the same thing. It was just school, you party, you know, and repeat and do the same thing. A cycle that kind of happened, and I never even imagined myself being in the nightlife, but that all just you know happened in the course of time. That's basically what happened. So.
But like once you were out of school, like out of college and stuff, and you started finding yourself in like nightclubs or where at bars and stuff, like on like like a Tuesday night or a Monday night, you were now at a different level, like promoting.
Right. Anytime when I'm not working, I'm networking. So that was the whole idea, right? Even on my off nights and stuff, like I said, you know, this is all pre-social media days. So, you know, for us to make connections, you actually had to see people.
You had to actually leave the house.
Correct. And, you know, it was a great time, you know, because and people would mingle with other people. They would find out what's happening in this spot and that spot. And again, right, you got to understand, for everybody to not go a certain place and then come see me, that was where the personality and the charismatic nature of a person, comes into play. Which actually shocked me myself. I'm like, man, I can't believe these people are actually coming to see me, But then I realized over the course of time that, I was that person, and I had to accept that.
Yeah, you made a name for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, there came a point where you started realizing you wanted to make a change, right? When did you realize that maybe you were either consuming too much or you wanted to make that change?
So when you're in the nightlife or any other industry, no matter what the case may be, you get comfortable in a position, right? So I got very comfortable. I was like, you know what, I have to work just 2 nights, and the rest of the week I'm going to be off. I'm going to have no problems. My life is great. And once you're in that mindset, you basically enclose yourself in a bubble. I met up with some people, and we kind of like, I had friends that used to come party and stuff from other places and all these things, and they used to always tell me like, you're worth so much more than just being in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood that before, and I was like, why do you guys keep saying that? It's like listen, like look at you, like you're around all these people that are out here to see you. So this is what's your most promising accomplishment, you think? I'm like, I don't know, man. I haven't figured this part out.
Like, have you peaked?
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know. And I felt that I was doing amazing because I was in that weird bubble of mine thinking like this is how it's going to be.
Right.
And that's why you want to have good friends around you that always give you that constant reminder like, hey, you know what, if you're doing this, let's try to do something different, And the biggest thing was I saw and I noticed everybody, that I was around, it felt that I was not growing and I was in the same exact place.
Mm-hmm. You
felt
stagnant.
Correct. And like I said, I was in the industry 15 plus years, and the fact that I was just comfortable with that was my fault at that point. Even though like I should always say like myself, I'm destined for greatness, but I just never knew how to go about it because again, once you're comfortable, you have to get uncomfortable to see results. That's basically what it comes down to. So I'm glad like I had some people that kind of kept pushing me and stuff for it. And once I got older, I started realizing, like, listen, you know what? And I tell everybody that I see even now, like, hey, you know what? This should always be like as a side gig for fun and games. At some point, I always say, like, some other pretty chick's gonna come and take your place. Some other good-looking guy's gonna come and replace you. It's not like something you can like hold on to for the rest of your life, unless if it's your business, then that's a different story. But people are comfortable. Obviously, I don't advocate for what others are doing. This is obviously about me. I realize that I'm destined for greatness, and I was like, if I don't take the leap of faith, and if I don't have faith in myself, nobody is going to have faith in me. So that was the whole strong mindset that I always had. Pandemic happened. That's when things really started to change because guess what? The entire nightlife got shut down.
Yeah.
Now what do you do, right?
Yeah,
Now, like, do we have a plan B? Do we have, nobody knew, and it was awful for everybody, including myself, and I'm sure, like, a lot of people that I even know, like, they all went through a lot of craziness. Um, but the amazing part of that is that nobody gives a shit. You gotta just figure shit out on your own.
The rest of the world is figuring it out, so
Right.
so do you, you know?
So, obviously, like, I was doing insurance at that time too, but I was like I said, I was so comfortable I would do it when I wanted to, because I'm doing amazing, with working this weekend and stuff.
Yeah, you picked and choose your schedule, basically.
Right. So I had to take a leap of faith because again, when pain becomes the flavor of life, right? And that's when I was in pain. When you become to the point that your back's against the wall and you're in a no option situation, that's when your time to shine really comes into play. And again, some people break,
Yeah, well, I think we talked about that. It was just like under pressure, right?
Correct.
But I want to go back on something really quick.
Mhm.
You have amazing self-awareness.
Right.
Because for you to look yourself in the mirror and be like, dude, I know I can do more than this.
Right.
I know I'm meant for so much more. And for you to actually take that step towards something, even though you don't know where you're going,
Right.
you knew that it was like, this is not where my story is supposed to
Right.
just be at.
That's
so
where you
I
basically-
congratulate you on
thank you
that.
so
That's
much.
amazing.
That's basically where the whole control thing comes into play because, like I said, the surroundings and your friends, it tells a lot about somebody.
Absolutely.
100%. Like, I lost 90% of the people that were my friends because I'm no longer the cool guy. I still love them, yes, but I have nothing against them. The only difference is I want them to win as well. They're just not gonna be eating at my table. That's the only difference. They're gonna do their own thing. I'm gonna still see them. I'm gonna hang out with them. But we're just in two different avenues at this point. And I chose it. I chose myself. And obviously, I wish everybody the best. As long as they're comfortable, like that's fine. I don't advocate on anybody because I'm not that person to do that. Everybody's happy with what they're doing. That's great. It's obviously like I had to make the difference for myself because nobody else was going to do it. And here we are. Things changed. My insurance business started to make sense to me, to the point that not a lot of people can say it, but pandemic year was my best year ever. You know what I mean? And that's what made me realize that wow, like I had this with me this entire time,
Yeah.
and I was stuck in this bubble because I was like very comfortable. People always shine and give their absolute best when they're under pressure.
Yeah. No, and some people obviously the pandemic year was like horrible for them. It could have been the worst time of their lives, but just like in the 2008 recession, there are some people that really did some, made some gains off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we can't compare, a pandemic to a recession. However, there are things like that happen. There's a shift in your life that makes you want to just, I gotta move.
I always say one very simple thing, the word fear itself. Fear basically, it could stand for forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. So you decide what you gotta do because you control everything, you know what I mean? Like, yes, your friends are gonna always be there for you, but what's going to happen when your back is against the wall? Are your friends gonna step up? You need to level up yourself at that point. Yeah, they're gonna basically, give you all the talks or like the motivation you need, but the action still needs to be done by you.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just that simple. And I realized that because, the more distant I was getting from all these crazy things, life started to change for me. And I say it, that one aspect of not drinking that I gave up, the entire world came running to me, if that makes any sense. And I just embraced it, you know what I mean?
No, you capitalized on it. You knew that you needed to make a change. And maybe in that time that we were all in lockdown is where we all needed like a timeout.
Of course, yeah.
You know? It's like the world went still and we were all in timeout and it gave us time to pause and get out of the rat race for a second and think.
No, and that's exactly the reason why, and I know not just myself, but I know a lot of other people that were in the same think tank like me. When we have no options, okay, bills are not going to stop, mortgage is not gonna stop.
right.
You know what I mean? That's still gonna have to happen. Like, are you gonna just wait for a handout, or are you gonna do something about it? You gotta like literally, choose yourself to suffer so you can discipline yourself. It's very important because if everything was like easy and flowing in the right direction, you won't even see that pressure, and you're not gonna,
No, of
go
course.
about
If
it.
it
and
was
stuff.
easy, everyone would do it.
Correct.
But let me ask you something. Like, so now, 2024 Fahad, because obviously you still have same group of,
Right.
for the most part,
Right.
close friends, right?
Right.
A lot of them still in the nightclub business or in some type of
Right.
hospitality. So, how have you responded to triggers? Like, when you're in a situation or in an environment where you know that there's going to be a lot of alcohol consumption.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, like my friends are still part of the industry and stuff, so I don't say anything to them. I go once in a while, I'll hang out and stuff, but they respect the fact, that's when I know they're true friends. They don't try to like push me to like get a shot or whatever. They know I've chosen a path and I'm sticking to it. Even though they had bets placed that I'm not gonna be able to do that, but it happened. So I do see them. I wish them the best. It was tough in the beginning. Like I said, when you try to take that path, no matter what path you take, and when you try to discipline yourself, it's a lonely path. It's not easy. It's really, really like, I lost friends, I lost people that don't hit me up. And, but I still, I used to be out all the time from like not going out at all just because of the fact, like, a lot of those people were not in my zone of things that I like. I try to keep myself distracted so it's not even to the point that I'm like, you know what? Because a lot of people I realize it's going to sound really crazy, like, they actually think about drinking. They actually like literally like they're planning from behind. Oh my God, I can't wait for Friday. I can't wait to go to the so and so place, and that's just bad. You know what I mean? Like if you're like already like mentally imaging
If
the
that's what
fact.
you're looking for, like that's what you have to look forward to.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing, right? It just becomes such a habit because you're doing it on a regular basis. It's like an automatic thing. Like if a drink's handed to you, it's much easier to do that than to like say no. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just started saying no. It was tough, but it had to be done. I went to Nashville. I went to a bunch of places with my boys and stuff, and they were shocked. Like I had a great time, and I was the only one. Like
Yeah, talk about willpower with that Nashville trip.
yeah, so it was a boys' trip. It was like a very a lot of my friends were in town, and then we, they like all like the country stuff and whatnot. And I was like, all right, you know what, let's make a trip. So we went there, and like amazingly, we met other friends that were happened to be there. The Vixens squad was already there.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
They
So we
got you in they got you in Nashville.
So it was crazy, we were all talking and stuff, and one of my buddies, they were like, they all knew obviously. I was like, listen, you guys can do that. They're like, oh, we're all doing like a shot and stuff. So I did like a shot of water, so I don't, so it doesn't feel like weird and stuff. So and obviously half the people knew, the other half I didn't care, like they don't have to know. But again, they're still my friends. If somebody asks me for help, like I have a bunch of people that ask me like, hey, did you do anything outrageous, anything special? I'm like, nope. Just woke up one day, I'm like, you know what, this is not for me, I'm not gonna do it. And that was it. But I do also understand some people, they're not, the willpower is not there, or they take, I know people that are still struggling to like cut down. Like they've cut down, and I tell them like, just find a distraction, you know what I mean? Like my distraction, I'm a proud plant daddy now. I've watered my plants now. You know what I mean? It's nothing outrageous. My friends like make fun of me. I'm like, I love doing that. It's a distraction. It keeps me busy, and then obviously like my work keeps me busy like most of the time. And then yeah, if I have to go out explore some restaurants and stuff, I do it. So I'm not thinking about drinking. You know what I mean? That's the whole idea of like I'm not waiting for like a happy hour to happen. I'm not waiting for like Friday night or Saturday that I'm gonna go out, because once you get into the same habit again, then you're losing yourself again. So
Well, I think one of the main points that you said that I think well, number one, if you do want to take a step like this, is changing your surroundings.
right,
And you did that.
right. So your true friends are always gonna back you up no matter what, and like that's when like if you see somebody doing bad. And that's why I'm always that kind of person that always tell people, I'll always put them in check. Like, hey, you know what? Don't do this, don't do that. But at the same time, when you start doing better for yourself, it kind of like shows to your other friends and your other people in the surroundings and stuff too. So they actually take you seriously as well.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you know what? This guy was in the same life that I am in right now, but he changed himself. So I would want to listen to this person because we see the results, in front of our faces. I always say, like, if somebody wants to do something, I use the example of a crackhead, right? If crackhead wants crack, man, try to stop him.
No, they're gonna find a way.
He'll find it. So
They're
I'm like, you know
gonna
what?
find a
Like,
way.
then that's exactly what it is. Like, if you want to do something, it could be, it's not just drinking. It could be anything, like, work
Yeah.
or a promotion or like, any milestones and stuff. Like, you just gotta like discipline. You gotta change your surrounding. It is gonna get lonely. I keep saying that it's gonna get lonely to the point like you'll
Yeah.
feel like but that's like the choice that you gotta make.
No, we were just talking about that. It's just like, I bet you your phone isn't, blowing up as much as it was before. Like,
I mean, my close people we still stay in touch. We shoot each other like text messages, what's going on, like whatever. But they understand it, and the biggest thing is they respect it. You know what I mean? Like the friends that were trying to be in that situation, they were not even my friends, to be honest. Like, if I can't be
Absolutely.
out with them because I'm not drinking, then it just feels some type of way. Then that's a personal thing. And again, like I wish them the best. Like I don't want to say anything to anybody. But that's their story and that's their life. I can't control it. I control mine. So I'm gonna hang out and do my thing. And then once like my time is up, the biggest thing is to walk away, which makes you the most strongest person ever. When you're actually seeing some stuff happening, when I am in Nashville seeing these crazy things going on, when I am in Texas and all these other places that I went to, I am walking away not because I'm disrespecting my friends. I'm just controlling and telling myself that I have chosen a different path. It's like, and everything's right here. Like everything is a very mental thing. For some people it takes time. For me, I was just very strict with myself. I just was, and I saw how my life was changing, and I think I owe it to it. I think that one small piece of adjustment that I did, I feel healthier. I feel so like energized. I am more productive. I'm waking up early. No depression, no like feeling like crap the next day. Like, it's like a very temporary solution for
It's a
people.
very temporary solution. Yeah, that's what people forget.
People always want to find ways to drink, whether like and that the industry is based on that, right? So imagine
Yeah.
like the place we're in, it like literally like it's a thing. It's like you have to do this because that's like part of the society. Like everybody's doing it. So imagine how strong you got to be to like be like, no, I'm not gonna
I
fucking do
know.
it.
No, that's what we're saying. We're talking about self-discipline, mental strength,
Right.
Choosing to suffer. That's something that you've said a few times.
Right.
And, putting yourself in these tough situations, but it's just like, no. Yeah, I know my friends are getting, are betting against me. They're betting money against me, but it's just like that almost ignites a fire under
Right.
me even more because it's like,
Right.
I'm going to prove all you fuckers
Right.
wrong.
Pain is like the flavor of life. So anytime you're in a struggling situation, that's when people actually try to put in their 100%. And I give an example, right? Like when the pandemic happened, right? A bunch of people lost their jobs or businesses or whatever the case is, including myself. Now, what that does is it actually like ignites fire because you know that bills are coming up, especially for the people that have children and stuff, right? Obviously, they have kids to feed. They gotta figure out something to make sure that there's food on the table, right?
That's right.
So now imagine this, right? So imagine if you have that kind of fire because you're in that situation, even though nobody planned a pandemic, it happened, and obviously we all took a hit for it. So imagine if you have that kind of mindset of always being ignited and keep doing what you're doing on a regular basis. Imagine how much results you're gonna see. Don't wait for something bad to happen. Then you're like, oh man, I gotta feed my kids. Let me just go and find a job now because I'm out of it. That's where the discipline comes in, right? That's why I chose to, suffer, because I was like, dude, like I'm not gonna have a pandemic dictate my life. I'm not gonna have these random people that are gonna say anything. I brainwashed myself that I'm destined for greatness. I'm gonna try and go for the absolute best, and basically, try to continue with that because that's how habits are formed. Same way we pick up the drinking habits. It's very simple. Everybody's drinking. Let's chime in. We'll do shots and stuff. I've done that for over 15 years, man. Like, I can't. It was all fun and like good times and stuff, but it never made me grow. It never changed my
Correct.
direction and my mind, and I was like, man, like I'm gonna be sitting with these same guys like again, like it's the same thing. And the change happened once my business starts, to grow and it started booming and stuff. I started seeing a pattern because those people that I was dealing with were so different from the people that I was with before, right? When I'm hanging out with people that are drinking, they're talking about the same shit every time. Girls and just regular
and
like
where they're going next.
yeah, we're gonna what's the next party
what's
whatever.
the new party? What's the new club? What's the new bar?
Yeah, so these guys that I'm speaking and hanging out with, obviously, they're talking about how the fuck they're gonna make money every day. That's like their fucking conversations about, investments. Like, hey, you know what? Let's try to do this. Like that's why I mentioned. I think I made a post about it. I'm actually looking at places right now to open a hookah lounge.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's one thing I love doing, because I like to drink tea and stuff, and I like to sit down and take my work and stuff with me. But if I was still stuck in that same thing, then I wouldn't be able to make that change. So now I hang out with people that are always talking about elevating and going to the next level and leveling up. You want to be around those people.
Absolutely. Yeah, and those people push you. They motivate you.
Correct.
So you did mention your company. Tell us, what is your company that you
So
started?
my company is it does health insurance nationwide. The marketplace, the Obamacare, like we do dental stuff, we do life insurance, stuff like that. I also have my own company's prescription app now, which you can download. It's called Homeland RX. Even if you don't have insurance, you can go to any closest pharmacy is gonna show you, and if you have any prescriptions, you can get discounts on that right on your fingertips. And it's also for your fur babies if you have any.
I love that.
So yeah.
That's great. Like, Fahad, you're on track, obviously, for like an amazing 2024.
Yes.
Where do you think you'll be like this time next year? Or what do you want? Where would you like to see yourself?
My main thing when I was younger, I always wanted to retire when I was 40.
Okay.
So this past year, I turned 40. So I have like proper good people that have been with me from day one that believed in me. A lot of them are also from the nightlife that trusted in me, and I was like, listen, you know what? At some point, this shit's gonna end. What are you gonna do after? Like, do you have a plan B? And a lot of times they had no answer. So I'm like, listen, I'm from the same boat. If you want to take a leap of faith, So I was like, let's just do it, try it, and if it makes sense, then you have something going on for you. So I actually have a lot of set people that I'm having to run the company now. That's how I can do stuff like this.
Nice.
And the biggest thing that I honestly say now, like it's not even about the money at this point. It's actually about the freedom. The fact that I'm able to go to Nashville randomly or go to freaking Mexico and do these stupid things and jump on a freaking private jet because my friends want to like have breakfast in fucking Bahamas and shit, which is outrageous to me. That I could have like, wow, I can't, like, we used to talk about that like when we were young, and so like, oh man, like this is so cool and shit. And then the fact you actually end up doing it, you feel like so freaking, amazing. I was like, holy shit. I always say, and I still think everybody should do that, I still keep myself very, very private. I don't try to like publish anything. Yeah, once in a while I'll post something, but I don't bring out my personal, like I see like people ranting on Facebook. I'm like, dude, like nobody cares, man.
Themselves out.
My baby daddy's a piece of shit. My baby, I'm like, dude, like stop. Like I just woke up. It's 9 in the morning. Like, how are you so upset? I'm like,
I have some people like that on my Facebook too. It's just like,
just
what are you doing?
How do you wake up upset? Like imagine how like shitty your day is gonna be. Like you're just upset because I'm like, dude, like, and I just keep scrolling. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, have a sleep.
No, of course, those are the people you just.
So I wish I could like change like everybody. Unfortunately, I can't. But the people that reach out to me, I do help them. Like there's a bunch of people hit me up and asked me, and I was like, listen, you gotta be disciplined. You gotta do X, Y, Z things, and it's not an overnight thing, obviously, but it's gonna happen.
It's definitely not an overnight thing because you even in the beginning of your journey, you had a moment where it's just like your body itself rejected alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely.
What happened with that?
So it was I have a Ramadan. I fast for 30 days. It's like our religious thing for us. I'm Muslim, by the way, so we do that every year. All these things just don't happen because I'm just making it happen. I also stay in touch with God. I always say that. People make fun of me left and right, man. I was like, every Friday, from like everybody knows, I always post a meeting with God, which is going to happen tomorrow. Everything stops from 1 to 3. I go to the mosque, I pray and stuff. It's because, if you forget God, God forgets you. Like, and people don't understand that. The culture here don't understand the fact, like,
True.
it doesn't matter what religion you follow, the basis of every religion is exactly the same. Which, in bottom line, is please don't be a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you do good things are going to happen. It's like how the magic basically works. And I tell my friends, listen, obviously I do my thing, and they obviously know and they respect it. I'm like, dude, you guys see me try to ask me these things, but then don't actually do it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So
it's because they're looking for answers in the wrong places. Not necessarily with you.
Right.
But it's just like that answer is when you sit down and you have a serious conversation with yourself and that higher
the problem
being,
also
whoever
is
it is for you.
Right.
But it's like you need to have that self-discipline as well and have that faith.
Correct. In today's world or society, if you want to call it, everybody's looking for shortcut like ways to
shortcuts.
do that. You know what I mean? Like when
How
we
do
were
I do
in
this quick,
when
fast,
we
and
were
easy?
in when we were in school and stuff, right? I mean, obviously I'm a little bit older, but when in class when teachers used to ask like what do you want to be when you want to grow up, like it would be like genuine things like a pilot or like join the army or astronaut and stuff like that. Now everybody wants to be an influencer because it's the cool thing to do, and the amount of times I've told people that I don't have a TikTok, even until now, like, and they get mad at me. They're like, "Oh, you're missing out." I'm like, "What am I missing out?" So if I don't see a girl dancing on TikTok, I think I'll be alright. They're like, "Man, it's so cool and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, but like, you just pick and choose your battles, obviously." That's where it comes down to, like people want to make the change, but they don't want to they want to find like small ways to do it. You gotta like it has to. There's no like shortcuts or anything. You gotta do the full play on that, and then just wait to see God. Works in mysterious ways. There's a saying because of that. People don't have faith, man. Like it's. I'm not saying that I'm the most religious person ever, but I just keep the bare minimum. You can't even do that. And like because of Ramadan and what you were saying, like I came out of the break that I had for 30 days, and I think it was like a couple months that I hadn't touched alcohol, and I went to the hub to see my buddies and stuff, and I was handed a shot, and I'm like, yeah, sure, how bad this could be, and I took the shot, and I threw up inside the hub. Like the people that were around me, I'm sure they
all
realized
looked at
that.
you like, whoa,
They're like,
what's
what
going
happened?
on?
And I was like, dude, like my body was rejecting it. That was like the sign. I was like, dude, like I think it's just this is it. So.
But you know what? Can I ask you something? You know how people say it's like we're always exactly where we're supposed to be.
Right.
How is that? That after Ramadan,
Mm-hmm.
you did the fasting, you did the work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, it was 45 days after. I
Right.
mean, you're 45 days into your sobriety journey.
Right.
The 30 days pass. And then you go, and it's like you fell into this temptation.
Right.
Right? And your own body said no.
Correct.
And it's, it's even written in scripture. It's just like your body is holy.
100%. Yeah, it's like, that's why, we say that all the time. Like, like I say that to grown ass man. I think like the last post I made was about that. I'm like, I tell the guys, like, that's exactly why I was like mentoring some of these kids. I'm like, dude, stop chasing these women. I promise you they're not going anywhere. Get your shit together. Get your money up, get your status up, go to the gym, work out, do all these things. I promise you they'll come to you. And like, I say it because I tell them all the time, like, dude, I'm 40 now, and I get more attention now than I used to be in the freaking action night scene now. Like,
that's great.
But,
I was going to ask that too. If your sobriety had changed your dating, scene for a little bit or
so
not.
We all know dating pool in South Florida is just absolute garbage.
It's already terrible.
It's really, yeah. You probably have better chances playing lotto and maybe something could happen.
I agree. There's probably more Florida lottery winners than good marriages.
I honestly and I told that I was talking to somebody 2 days ago. So because of the fact of obviously all this social media stuff going on, everybody's like on these weird like apps trying to make money and doing all these crazy things. It's a finesse, and it's like a fake world that they're all living in.
It's the instant gratification thing.
Right.
People want that, that dopamine hit.
Right.
every morning, a dopamine hit of like, oh, they like my picture, like, oh, they like
Right,
this,
and
or
that's the
whatever.
thing, and I keep saying that, and I tell the guys, and the guys are like, man, this girl and like so and so. I'm like, dude, like this is where you're wrong. This girl is gonna pick whatever she thinks is gonna be facilitating her dream. Like you're gonna be like 10 people back in the line. That's not even because you have nothing to do. Like what I mean. That's how the game works. Like men and women are not the same. People can talk all these nonsense all the time. You need to like do something, and that's basically where the game's gonna change. That's where you gotta be mentally strong and try to continue to do that to get
We
rid of
talked
those.
about mental strength a lot, and like we want to talk about like those 3 points, or if there's more points. Like, what are those key things that you need to have in order to take yourself to this next level if you want to pursue sobriety?
I like to do a lot of wordplay and stuff, so I was like writing some pointers down, and I always say it. So like consistency, hard work and the hustle, attitude and ambition, mastermind of the fact that you control yourself and your motivation, and positive mindset is so important. It's so important because if you want to make anything good happen, you cannot start the day complaining about your baby daddy. It's not going to work, honey.
Yeah.
Being optimistic, the integrity part, and the fact that not take no for an answer. You want to always continue to do that, and of course, like all of those things combined together makes you the champion. That's how I always look at things. It's not like just one thing. Like you can't just have the discipline but then be negative. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't just pick the integrity part then don't have the hustle or the motivation and stuff. You know what I mean? It's a small piece and pinch of everything combined together. That's what's gonna happen. And people can take one day at a time, but I strongly tell all the men that are the younger men specifically, to get your shit in order. In today's world, it's very, very difficult because there's a lot of challenges happening. Average men in today's world is invisible, straight up. Like it's gonna sound really harsh, they're invisible. So in order to be not that person, you gotta step out of your shell. You gotta do crazy things to get level up. All that happens, yeah, it's gonna take time, but I promise it's gonna make sense.
You're doing all of this work, this self work, also
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to put yourself at a certain level to where you're going to attract a woman
Mm-hmm.
that hopefully you're thinking this way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're at that level,
Right.
you don't want a partner that's going to bring you down.
Correct.
You
So-
want an equal or somebody that's going to even make you hungrier and
This
motivate you.
This is the thing, right? And I use this statement all the time in some of these other platforms that I was sitting at. I was like, women in today's society are competing the men that they're trying to marry. I'll say it again. Women in today's society are competing the men that are trying to get married, and I blame social media for that because every day, be a boss babe, you don't need a man, go get your bag. All of that stuff kind of brainwashes you. Like for a guy that's like myself, like we want the respect is the biggest thing for us. You know what I mean?
Of course.
All these other things that come along is only going to happen if the respect factor is there. And if a guy knows his role, this is a problem that I said. Guys have become bitches too. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's why women are stepping up and
They're
being
like,
the freaking.
oh, she didn't text me, so I'm not
Right.
gonna text her. Like, yes, I know.
Right. So that's the problem because a lot of these men are like looking in the wrong direction, and I keep saying that, and then females get brainwashed in the sense because they feel they have 100 people messaging them, and then they feel like 100 guys want them. I'm like, no, honey, that's not what it is. But the flex is not that 100 people are DMing you. The flex is you keep that one guy and actually make him stay. That's the flex. Men and women will definitely work better as together as a team rather than competing with each other, and that's where the problem is. You know what I mean? Like
You got to give the man the opportunity to play his role that he was to be that provider.
Correct.
So like, yes, you hear like, oh, go get your bag and do this and all that.
Right.
That's okay. But there's also when you are looking for a man, you want that man to let him
Right.
prove to you that like I can be your provider. You
Right.
have safety with me.
That's
you have
where
security.
correct.
With me.
That's where the communication, and that's why I was coming back to the main thing, and I was telling like in the United States, I mean obviously forget about South Florida, like even like because of the whole the social media and all this internet and all these things are happening, right? It's just to the point that, and our role model is Cardi B for these younger females and stuff, like, so I'm like, obviously if that's their role model, then you know exactly
with
what's gonna
that,
happen.
it's all about what you choose to have on your algorithm, right?
Right.
You choose to follow Lizzo or Cardi B or whoever, but then there's so many other great people. Like, I mean, I'll throw one name out there: Brene Brown. Brene Brown has literally explained to everyone in the most beautiful way what vulnerability is, and that's for everyone, for male, female, whatever you identify as.
Right.
You choose what you have on your timeline. I've done a lot of times where I'll go on a purge, where I'll see some nonsense on, and I'm like, what is this? What is this page that I'm following?
Right.
Or who is this person that I'm following that's posting, I hate my baby daddy at 9 a.m. And it's just okay, relax. You're airing out dirty laundry. It's just like, I'm not trying to see that. You guess what? You can hit that unfollow button.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can hit that I'm going to keep scrolling and I'm not going to entertain that. It's all about what you choose to consume as well. So are there any last notes that you would like to tell our viewers?
I think
you've been dropping dimes this whole time, but it's
for
those that just want the highlights.
The highlights is basically like, in order to do anything in life, and first, the most important thing is you have to believe in yourself. Like, that's just the most important thing. You want to be that person. You want to start disciplining yourself. Like, you need to make sure like people respect you, and it doesn't start like, overnight. It's a journey. It's like a constant struggle to better yourself. And I promise you, I say that all the time, the universe is a beautiful place. It just needs some time, and I promise you it's gonna always give back. Like, and I'm very happy, and my family's happy, and my friends and stuff, everybody's like, they look up to me now, and it's a very respectful thing.
It's made you the most powerful person in your group.
100%.
In a sense. You have a quote that you talked about that says, no one ever regrets becoming sober.
Yeah, not a single person that you will ever talk to will say that, I regret being sober, because that one thing, me giving up that one thing, gave me the entire world. And that's a very strong thing I believe in, like my health, my mindset, my motivation, my, everything just started to hit me, like all those ingredients that I talk about. And because you're in that mental state, you're actually functioning, you're actually focused, you're driven, you know what I mean? So once that happens, it's just a matter of that thing cycling now. Like, now you just got to continue on that pace, and the same energy people are putting on going to these places to, take shots and getting hammered, try to like give 1% of that and doing something different, and it's going to happen. That's the way the universe operates. So yeah.
Keep that same energy, but put it towards
the positive yourself. Stuff. Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. So
I agree. That's amazing. You know what, Fahad? Thank you so much for being here and sharing your journey with us.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you're starting this amazing journey as well.
Thank you.
I wish you the absolute best. And shout out to the director. You guys can't see, but she's been doing a hell of a job right now, too.
She's done a great job. Thanks, Stage. Thank you for joining us on this episode today. I post new videos every Thursday, and I want you guys to stay tuned. Make sure you like, comment, and share, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Bye.